Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's Friday night drink and draw. We are here once again with a bevy of artists ready to tackle tonight the Phantom. And who better to have as the special guest for the Phantom artist Glenn Lumsden. I'll just quickly introduce everyone. We've got Alex Major up the top, Sloppy Bunny Tunes himself. Toby's Magic Pencil, Ben Sullivan. We've got newbie Alistair Lockhart with us, Lee Chalker, Battle for Bustle, and then our two Ledger Award nominees down the bottom, Dave Dye and Chris McCann. Hey!
G'day.
Hello. Before we get cracking, Glenn, maybe would you be able to tell us a little something about how you yourself got into drawing and then maybe how you took that drawing into the world of comics?
I've just been drawing and reading or looking at comics since I can remember, 3 or 4 years of age. And I just never stopped. For some reason, I just fell in love with the medium. And, you start off with, I remember I started off with, I think it was the World of Disney weekly, magazine that came out, and then progressed to the next, like Richie Rich and, that sort of stuff. And then I would, every now and then I'd try to make a little foray into the seemed like more mature comics like, Marvel stuff and DC stuff, which I found terrifying as a 7 or 8 year old.
I agree.
And so I'd go running back to Harvey and sort of go back to Richie Rich and that sort of stuff. And then just every now and then, as a Chrissy president and aunt might give me a Captain America comic, and I'd give it another go. And I just finally got to the point where I thought I can handle this. And then it was Marvel through to, I guess, my late mid-teens, and then discovered European comics and heavy metal and that sort of stuff, as you do. And then I just gave up comics for ages, and came back and realised I still love them. And I think as I'm getting towards the end of my lifespan, I just realised I've never stopped loving them really. I just had a period where I just needed some time away or something.
When did you make the connection from just drawing as a kid or whatever into turning it into stories and making your own sequential?
Really early, because what I would do is you get the latest whatever comic it was, and then for the rest of the day it would be redrawing that comic. But what's hilarious is that you would you'd invent another character. So instead of Richie Rich, it was Danny Dollars, and you would do the exact bloody same story, but not admit it to yourself. So somebody you'd come up with something brand new, and it's like exactly what you just told me.
That's true.
I used to read Richie Rich, and my sister used to say, "Where can you read that stuff? Because he's just such a greedy little kid. He's just got so much money." And
it's grotesque. It's a grotesque symbol of.
It's definitely stuff. Definitely the Richie Rich stuff is very much of its time. It wouldn't play today.
Little Donny Trump. But actually, a lot of those Harvey comics were just you'd have little Lotta whose shtick was she was huge and always eating.
Kids with Prader-Willi syndrome are hilarious.
What's that?
It's like the Prader-Willi syndrome, that thing where you can't stop eating.
Yeah.
It's always good for a laugh.
Yeah, that's right. And then little was.
Do you remember Billy Bunter?
Oh, Billy Bunter, that's right, yeah.
I love Billy Bunter.
The English ones is that they tended to be more like rich kid versus poor kid, and the poor kid would always win. Whereas America was Richie Rich was just like he would like hit diamonds, you know. It would just be like, or he'd trip over the world's most expensive ruby or whatever. And sorry, his friends were all really poor, but he never did anything about it. You know, he just invite them over for hot dogs or something on the weekend.
No.
That was, you know, you got to help these people, you know. It just encourages them.
Encourage more greed.
So, Glenn, what was your first? How did you break in? What was your first book? And
Well, I just met up with some like-minded folk in Sydney, like Tad and Gary and Dave DeVries, and we all just started doing our own comics. And it sort of started off fun, and then it just kind of slowly morphs into, you know, a bit more than a hobby. And then someone like Tad will go, "Oh, I'm going to print this," and next thing you know, there's a big box of comics. And you go, "Oh my god!" And it just sort of developed from that, and that led to going over to America and getting some stuff reprinted.
Yeah,
and then that led to doing some original stuff for the Americans. And it's sort of,
so if I can take you back a few steps, so just to get into the minutiae of it all, how did you bring like a portfolio to Dave and Tad on that, or were you just mates first that then like
we were mates. It was all through swapping comics and collecting comics.
Yeah, right.
And, so I reckon when I first met Tad, I would have been about 13 or
wow. I didn't know went that far back.
He was just finishing his HSC, and he had this. He'd done the Dark Nebula portfolio for his HSC's major work.
Yeah.
And I remember he must have just finished doing it, so he must have been 18. And I remember coming over there, we were going to swap some comics or something, and he ended up showing me his portfolio of Dark Nebula stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And we just went from there. And then I think through Tad, I met Gary, and then through Gary, I met Dave. Just over the years, but it basically was just Tad and me working together on weekends. It would be like I'd go to school, and then on a Saturday or whatever, I'd get in the train and go to Tempe, and be like, Mum and Dad would be there. We'd be like, "Oh, Mr. Koski," and you just go and draw on the kitchen table. It was great. Tad still has amazing paper, but back then he had this comic collection which was like an Aladdin's cave in comparison to what was normally available in Australia. So like in Australia, it was hard getting American comics. There weren't any specialty comic shops. A lot of what you could get is just black and white reprints. And then going to Tad's place and just seeing all these fair dinkum, American 3D rights and Swamp Things and Neil Adams, Man, and I used to just be drawing, and I'd go to Tad because he's got this amazing memory. He's like a
Hey, Pete.
And I just go to Tad and say, "Hey, Tad, can I have a look at Swamp Thing 8? And he'd go, "Yep." And he'd just sort of go into this cupboard and sort of like there's like 10,000 comics there. He'd just go, "Yep," and just pull out Swamp Thing 8. And I'd just sit there and absorb. Yeah.
We call that the portal, mate. We got our portals here. We all got our portal. We'd reach into it every now and then.
Yep.
Yes.
Pull out whatever.
And yours is the deepest of all, Dave, I tell you, because the things that you bloody grab off that top shelf, we talk about it all the time. It's unbelievable. Glenn, you'll have a random conversation about an Australian comic book. Sometimes it could be any comic book, and Dave goes, "Yeah, I got that right here." Bang, and then it's there.
You must have those Go Gadget arms.
Yeah.
Go off in the next room.
So, Pete, what was Glenn, what was the first book that came out that had your name on it? Like, what was the first published?
I think it would have been. I helped Tad. I think I helped him with the layouts for his very first Dark Nebula book.
Right.
I think I did. If not that, then it would have been
I love that you don't know. That's how many comics you've put out.
Well, it's so long ago. So
Yeah.
I probably remembering last week. That or it could have been Adventure Illustrated. So I'm pretty sure it was Nebula. Yeah, because when I met Gary, I reckon I was drawing like the third issue of Dark Nebula by then. And Tad was inking it. I was penciling it. This is all done at Tad's kitchen table.
Yeah.
Then I think we met Gary, and he wanted to do a comic. We had this news agency chain that were going to back him or something called McCurr Whitfield. And so the very first was precursor to the Cyclone comic. It was called Adventure Illustrated, and it had, Gary did a story called Harry and the New Heroes, and it was Dark Nebula. And I think there was this other character in it called Grit Grinder, who I got no idea what happened to him or where he came from. But
what's the name?
It's a Grit Grinder, who was a soldier or something.
Hey, Danny.
What's the name of that one, Glenn?
Grit Grinder.
Rick Grindo.
Grit, as in
grit.
Paper.
I heard grinder like it's that
I don't understand the reference, Alex. I don't get it.
It was like
neither do I.
And then so we are drawing the Phantom. How is it that an Australian artist is? How did you transition from Southern Squadron, Dark Nebula into the Phantom?
Well,
Nice, Dave.
Oh, cool. Yep.
Nice.
Cool.
Good. And not too muscly too, which I think is good. In America, when we got a chance to do some original stuff, I think we started off at Malibu, which was back then it was a reasonable sized black and white company, largely black and white, and they ended up going gangbusters because Todd McFarlane got them to do his first
Coyote, was it?
Image Comics.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that back Image Comics. They used Malibu.
Yeah, but before that, Malibu were just largely doing black and white comics, and so they wanted us to do their first colour comic, which was an adaptation of a real B-grade horror movie called Puppet Master.
Yeah.
I think they've done about like 10 Puppet Master movies now. They keep on. The thing that Puppet Master really kills it for me.
They are. They're still making new ones.
Puppets are tiny. It's just like, who the hell is going to get killed by this like 6-inch puppet? You know, it'd be okay if the puppet was maybe up to your knee. I can kind of, puppet that's the size of your hand. But anyway, so we did that, and then we could show that to bigger companies, and they would let you onto other characters, and you sort of work your way up the ladder. And then by the time we were talking to people at Marvel, I remember we were in the office of Fabian Nicieza, and literally while we were there, he said, "Hey, Kingfishers want to do some of their characters through Marvel. One of them's the Phantom. Hey, isn't the Phantom really popular in Australia?" And we went, "Yeah. Would you guys like to do it?" And we were like, "Yeah." And that was it. It was just in about 5 seconds. We just walked out going, "Shit, that's good." And so that's how we did the Marvel Phantom. And so that was a 3-issue miniseries, and that had spin-offs in terms of like in Australia we did Phantom-related, paraphernalia, and then I segued off into commercial art and advertising stuff, and magazines for a while.
Oh, he's got a face. Oh, and his undies, nice.
Hey.
Yeah,
Dave.
You got the stripes going the right way in the undies?
they are.
I'm doing feet today.
Dave, you disappoint me. Dave, I'm disappointed. I didn't want to see feet. It's taboo.
So what was that? Oh yeah. But anyway, then when Glenn Ford got involved with through, and Glenn was a mate of mine from comic collecting days, and also we had dealings in the 90s when we were doing a Marvel comic, so he just got in touch and said, "Do you want to do some more Phantom stuff?" Now that sort of like he's involved with through, and that's been my sort of second life, I guess, second chance of doing the Phantom, and this time what I'm really enjoying is doing the traditional proper Phantom.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Did you design the Marvel Phantom, or was that an edict from that they wanted him to look sort of have the guns and the pouches? And
well, like we were given a free hand with the redesign, and so I worked on that. But in terms of what the gig was, though, the gig was to do a Marvel-style version of this King Features character. Because the thing is, King Features, they largely do newspaper strips, and it's a shrinking market. And Marvel were a burgeoning, totally different audience, or a much larger audience with a little bit of overlap. But really, and so King Features wanted Marvel to rev up the Phantom into a quasi-Marvel character. So that was the brief. Now, as to what you did with that, so long as you fulfilled the brief, I don't think Marvel worried that much. Lee Falk had to have final say because there were certain things in Phantom just couldn't do. And he was very amenable. I think he was pretty. I can't remember if there was anything particularly worried him. He was a bit worried. I think I'd done one drawing where the Phantom was looking through a telescopic sight and he was aiming at the sniper, and the crosshairs were on the sniper's head. And he just wanted me to change that to where the gun. So I was going to shoot the gun out of the sniper's hand. Yeah, and awesome. I remember the time going myself. And now looking back, it's like, Glenn, because the Phantom doesn't shoot people through the head. But the difference was that back in the 90s, I just approached drawing comics in a totally different way, and in a way which I guess it was the stillness of youth and maybe having never been in that environment before. I really was doing everything for ego reasons. It was more like, rather than trying to honour the Phantom, the character, it was like, how can I do something to the Phantom which marks him indelibly with the Glenn Lumsden stamp? And I totally reject that whole approach now, and now I think the way to do it is to try and get in touch with like if you love the character, what is it about the character that you love, and try to evoke that in the art, rather than trying to impose yourself on it for your own sort of but the thing is, I guess back in the 90s, is that I was so worried about having a career and then you get a bit of a break and you think, oh my God, I can't stuff this up. My whole life's to be like this. And inevitably you stuff it up because instead of just enjoying it and going, it's great, hey. And then you always got an eye on the next gig, and then what other people are getting, oh, he's got a better gig than me. I mean, how come he's got that? I don't get that. And all that crap, which just fills the experience. Now I find drawing comics now is my happy place after doing years and years of commercial art and advertising and stuff that I really couldn't get a rat about. I just think now it's a privilege and an absolute joy to be able to do comic art. I mean, I can't make a living out of it because I'm too slow, so I still have to juggle it with other things. But I'm in a fairly good position in terms of cover the bills and that sort of stuff. And also my partner, my wife Carly, she's got a regular, normal person job. So while I'm waiting for don't worry, that check should turn up any month now. At least next Thursday. there'll be some money in the account. So, I'm just trying to, in my head, I have officially started my proper comics career as of 2015. Okay. That's it. Everything else up to that is just a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I actually really feel this. Learning the craft is just, I knew nothing back in the 90s, absolutely frigging nothing. And I didn't even know nothing.
Yeah.
It's just as you go along and you get, I know, it's like I love researching the history of comics and great comic artists, and just looking at the skills like an Alex Raymond or John Amita Senior, Russ Heath, and those guys, it's staggering. The skill level is just phenomenal. It makes me just like tear up with the beauty of what I'm looking at, and then I just think, I just would love to be a 14th of what they are, and just to try and I guess reverse engineer a lot of what they do. I sort of like I see like someone will do an amazing lighting effect or whatever, and I go, right, how the hell do they do that? And then the next thing I get, right, that lighting effect that cover is just an excuse to do this lighting effect.
Yeah.
I saw Rick Vandal do, some 1950s comic. And it's good because then you learn how to do it, and you can kind of put that in your box of tricks, and then hopefully your armory just gets more and more and more as you get older and do more stuff. But there's so much to learn, and I also find like the learning how to draw comics is as fun as actually doing the comics. I mean, I have a great love of history and art and design and that sort of stuff. And so sometimes I'll just get lost. I'll sort of like just disappear down the rabbit hole on the internet because I've seen someone's posted an illo on Facebook. I go, who's that artist? And then before I know it, sort of like 3 hours later, I just found all this stuff and all these other people that was influenced by, and I just find that enjoyable for its own sake. But, sorry, someone had a hand up.
I was waving to Darren Close, who asks a very important question. Are you still in the hot dog game down there?
No, unfortunately, the lockdown here, which how long I must have gone on for 7 or 8 months or something. This is last year.
Right.
In Tasmania. I just couldn't. All our stock, I had to throw it all out. It was like just thousands and thousands of bucks worth of. Because before the lockdown, like the big show in Tasmania is called Agfest, and that's the equivalent of the Royal Show or the Easter Show around the mainland. Yeah. And we were totally stocked up for that. We had, just to appear at Agfest, I think there's a couple of $1,000, and then you 10, 15,000 bucks worth of stock, and it's just all had to throw it all out. And so by the end of the lockdown, what happens is that
this one.
Yeah.
He's right in my drawing.
I was gonna say that cat's. I approve of your cat there making a cameo.
He's actually 18 years old. He's really.
Oh wow!
Oh nice. Oh nice. That gives me. I still got.
Wait, Glenn. Sorry, the cat's still in the show. But he's an old cat. Yeah.
Wow.
But he looks like a boss.
He's a good cat.
Yeah.
Duncan Pranavicius losing all track of time. He could have sworn today was Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday night's Drink and Draw. So, Glenn, from one iconic character to another, you got to draw Batman in Legends of the Dark Knight?
Yeah, it was never published. I never finished it.
Okay.
I finished the first issue.
Yeah.
And I started the second, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I just kind of walked away. But it happened at a very fortuitous time.
Yeah.
Because Not fortuitous for Archie, but our editor was Archie Goodwin, who's just one of the sweetest dudes, I ever met in comics. And I was just buckling under the pressure, and unbeknownst to me, Archie was dying of cancer, right? And so I'm contacting Archie going, oh God, I've got the bottom of the seams. And Archie is listening to me, and he's giving me all this advice, this great advice. He goes, Glenn, mate, it's just comics. It's not important.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, okay. And then anyway, like about a week later, he's dead. And I'm just thinking, shit. It's like, he was an amazing bloke. And so, but the thing is, because the way it worked at DC and Marvel is that you'd have these editors that'd be responsible for a little family of books. And they were basically the in charge. They were the king of that little village. And no other editors really knew what else was going on in the Archie Goodwin village. So if Archie commissioned a story off two Australians, only he really knew about it. So when Archie died, I just realised I have to stop drawing this, and so I did.
I think Dave DeVries was he telling us that story the other day when we were on?
He might have been, yeah, because Dave wrote it.
I have heard that.
Beautiful. Come on.
I'll start inking now.
Yeah.
Oh, nice looking, good.
Dave. Good one.
Zach,
wow.
Dave, you have that real old school ability to sort of knock out 3 pages a day, sort of Jack Kirby, John Romita. Sort of, I really admire that, because that's a really important part of being a viable comic artist like this. Because I can do 1 panel a day.
Oh yeah, I saw your interview on the Phantom Zone. Was it, Glenn?
Yeah.
And I listened to that, and you're on the you're getting in right, taking your time, and you're getting right in close and putting all the detail in, and really taking your time to get a spot on 100% page that you're happy with, and you're taking your time to do it, and that's why it's taking you.
Yeah, and I think also with age I am getting slower. My eyes are getting worse, and the hand starts to ache. No joke. Sometimes I wake up and my eyes are like chunks of raw meat, and they're just like oozing. I tell my wife I've got to spend an hour de-oozing in the morning, which is just where I've got to just keep putting eye drops in and just letting all the junk that's accumulated from last.
I hope a new viewer came in right then, Glenn. I have to de-gunk. I'm sure my wife loves it. That would have been the perfect, I'm going to watch this show. Bang. Oh.
That's what we need when we're putting together the little sizzle reel.
Speaking of Dave Dye smashing out 3 pages a day, picked up this beauty this week.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Dave Dye classic, going to dig into.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I think it was Gary Challoner was telling us the story the other day about he was over there, and Archie Goodwin or something had the similar thing. It might have been the same story, I don't know. And he was saying that he never got it finished. I think it was Gary, because it wasn't that long ago. It was only last week or the week before.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's I don't know if other people experience this as well, but I really find that life happens in episodes or chapters or whatever, and you can really feel like one episode is kind of coming to an end, and you're getting sort of prodded by the universe or circumstances or whatever.
One for you, Alistair.
Try something else to sort of move on, and after a while, you just think,
Thanks, Darren.
Really swimming against the tide. Why don't I just move on? And it was the right time to move on. And And I
Dechunked.
learned a stack about
There you go.
and what I didn't want to draw by doing a lot of commercial stuff that I hated doing. But on the plus side, though, there are some things you're never ever going to draw unless someone says, I need to draw a bunch of horses. And you're going, no, not horses. But
exactly right. Yeah.
Of course, I can do that. It's funny. Have you ever tried to draw a horse just without referencing? And so you just think, I've seen millions of horses and it's like this insane, it's like 4-year-old drawers you stick on the fridge. You go, now where are those eyes? Where they go? Where does the saddle go? Yeah.
That's the thing, Glenn, when you write your own stories, you can put in what you want, and what you can't draw, you don't put in the story, mate.
There you go.
Writing and
sorry, Glenn, I was just going to give a call out to Robbie.
No, it's not Robbie. I think it's Mark O'Sullivan, but I could be wrong.
Right, yeah. Well,
I can't remember people's pseudonyms, but it's Robbie is Saddle.
Yeah,
Slap.
Robbie's Slappy Pack Saddle.
Yeah, I think it's Mark, but I could be wrong.
Good on you, Mark. Thanks, mate. Appreciate you.
Let's go with Mark until I'm proven wrong.
Putting that up there, yeah. Appreciate it, mate. Sorry, Glenn.
There must be horses in the Anzac legend, is there, Dave?
Yes, there are.
There are.
There are.
Yes.
Nailed it. It is Mark. There you go.
Good on you, Mark.
Question for you, Glenn.
Sorry?
Questions just come through for you. Sorry. Question, do you ink your own work? It was beautiful line work that reminded me of Boland, 2000 AD artist.
Yes, I do ink my own work, and I've slavishly studied Boland for just ages. Because I remember the first time I saw Boland's work, I couldn't believe that it was a person who could do that. It was just like,
yeah.
The cat just took out Ben's drawing.
Your cat's an art critic, mate.
Oh, yeah, can't stand my work.
Sorry, Glenn. It can get chaos here. Sorry.
That's okay. So and this is the thing with, I call it like the wow factor or the dazzle factor, but
Glenn, I just got to say that people say the same thing about you, mate, when they see your stuff.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
yeah.
Because that is, I guess, the ultimate aim is to like seeing like you see that magician like Dynamo and stuff, and you just go, what the? It's impossible. What did you think? And it's a trick, but you think, I don't really want to know the trick because it'll ruin because the wow is so great. But I guess, if you wanted to be yourself, then you would like to know the trick. And so you've got to get over that dazzle factor. And so, I would get Boland's work and just, in the days when I used to have a photocopier, I would just photocopy his stuff up like 500% until I could see wobbles in the lines and go, okay, so a human being has made this line. This is just ink on paper, and if he can do it, then
that's right.
But the trick is, it's obviously it's more than just making lots of lines. It's getting in his head and realizing
it's about making the right line count.
What's that?
It's about making the right line count.
Yes, and it's also
in the right spot.
Wrong lines as well, which is so important. It's like often because I remember reading an interview with Boland where he described himself as being sort of a bit of a minimalist, which seems funny because all you see are these millions of engraving lines, and you're going like minimalist, but he really doesn't put any more stuff in than is necessary. Whereas an artist who, I don't want to slag people off, but this is like a Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld, their style of inks to me seems very haphazard, like scattergun, sort of just lots of noodling everywhere, and that'll kind of create the impression of stuff. It'll fill the panel. Whereas guys like Bond and Alex Raymond and stuff, they have a tremendous discipline and a great eye for when enough is just enough, and we stop there. And it gives their work a polish and a professionalism and just a gorgeousness, which I look at it immediately and fall in love with it. Whereas I'll look at other stuff and just go, that person's trying too hard. I remember it used to be like that at art classes as well. You'd always be some kid in the class who did like lots of dot drawings, just there, dot, 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 dot. And that was like the fallback position because they knew if they did 1 million dots in this drawing, everyone would go, wow, that must take so long. Wow. It's like the dot zone was his
stipple, you mean?
It's like
Stipple, yeah.
It's like great dot, 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 dot. And you almost feel like going, just try doing it without dots. Just see where you go. So no dots, safe place, can't leave it. So
I did enough of that on the illustrators course.
What's that?
I did enough of that stippling on the illustrator course. You should have heard we had stippling. We got taught stippling during our illustrators course. I was in the army. I did the illustrators course.
Yeah.
And you got we had to reproduce photograph. Probably about A4 size, a black and white photograph, and by stipple.
Yeah.
All day long.
And also, if you're the only guy in the class, in the art class, the silent art class, stippling, you become incredibly unpopular. And
drive everyone mad.
Which will be like the supply cupboard or something.
And how did that go, Dave? Some of your teammates are outside the base going, and you're in the base.
Well, you had signalers doing Morse code.
Yeah, right.
Nah, just joking.
Lots of comic creators in Tasmania apparently now.
I obviously, like Gary, I see Gary a lot. Martin Abel, I don't think I've met Martin. Is he down in Hobart? I'm up north. I'm in a little town called Deloraine, which is close to Ronnie.
Right.
Down in past Hobart. And it's about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive. But we catch up heaps. That has been absolutely fabulous. Because Gary and I sort of like parted ways for quite a while, like I reckon about a decade, where without going into too much of it, but it was almost like when the Cyclone team split up, it wasn't under really nice, the best of circumstances. And looking back at it now,
full of each other, had you, mate?
looking back now, it was trivial stupidity. I mean, on my part.
One day I would love to do a show with the four of you, Dave, Tad, Gary.
Oh yeah,
and we talk about it.
Yeah,
that'd
well,
awesome.
They might want to talk about it, mate.
Yeah.
Rejoining with Gary, and because in the years we were apart, we actually had quite similar lives in terms of personal experiences and relationship breakups and things like that. And meeting up again, I guess I think I've sort of changed as a person, and it's a great chance to reconnect and reappreciate what a truly fabulous guy Gary is. He's such a lovely dude. And to know that he's just a few hours down the road, it's great because you're not in each other's pockets.
Yeah.
But you're not that far away either. And when we get together, we just talk comics and shit. Like non-stop. And but what's really great though is Gary's wife Belinda and my wife Carly, they get on like they're nuts. They're really crazy together. And so it's so beautiful. They'll just go off outside and sort of get maggoted. Over here outside, you see this. It's like going, what did you think of the swamp thing? Regonda. Yeah. So, no, that's all really good.
So, Glenn, from Southern Squadron to Dark Nebula to Phantom to Batman.
My dog just needs to go out and have a week.
Okay. I had this awesome intro. All right, Alex, I've got a question for you.
I don't think he liked Batman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't bring Batman up again, man.
It was such a cool segue into a silly question.
It was a false alarm. She waits by the door and looks at me, but I think she just wants me to play with her. Sorry. But
no, Alex, it's just a quick question for Alex now. How did you come up with the angry koala character?
They must be talking about Tommy from my toy line when I was in Hong Kong, Spud the Bear. It's like a villain. To be honest, it's if you look at it with the thick eyebrows and the angry eyes and the constant mouth shape, it's actually kind of a knockoff of a favorite comic, Milk and Cheese. So if Evan Dorkin wants to sue me, go for it.
Yeah,
but you just have to create
your case there, Alex. I tell you, it's like
that's what happens. I fired my lawyer yesterday, so now I don't know.
Stephen's asking for a quick update. Can anyone share a screen? Show us where you're at. Start with you, Ben.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, Dave.
I'm
That's right.
focusing more on the skull.
Oh, that looks brilliant.
Oh,
That's really good.
There.
So lifelike with the little ears and a nice furry coat. Oh,
Don't believe the cat's
trying.
criticisms.
Yeah.
I tolerates me.
How much did the cat
Very
do,
nice
Ben?
coat. What's that?
How
killing
much
it,
did
Dave.
the cat do?
Sorry, Dave.
I said, how much did the cat do? You do any of that or the cat
Oh,
do it?
well, we flipped the board. Right here.
What about you, Lee? You got something to show, or you're saving it?
Nice.
I can show you. It's as best I can.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, mate.
Oh, it's looking really good. Everybody's got really strong take on it.
what about you,
Man.
Alex? Are you down for holding up your screen, or?
Sure. Just a second. Make sure it works. I don't know my face. I've got to play this. Wait a second. Is it playing? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. So I'm just coloring it right now, but you won't see it.
Alex.
Awesome.
That's just showing off.
Yes.
There you go. I just pushed the animate button on my iPad.
Yeah.
Danny, yes.
Where,
you can,
hang on,
sorry.
where's that, Alex? Tell me where that is on my computer because I don't know where it is. Yeah,
It's the one on the left that says power.
that one. Yeah. Hang on, just give me 1 minute and I'll animate mine.
My
button's broken. I can't do it.
Anybody at home who's drawing, feel free to send us through your artwork to rob@comx.net.au and I will chuck it up on the screen. Anyone else want to show where they're at?
Can we just send it through to your Facebook?
Yeah, that's
Rob?
actually preferred. So what am I talking about? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I'll just go Zach.
Nice.
Sorry, Alistair, 1 sec.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see his face. There he is.
Oh, yeah. Good one, Zach. Excellent.
Nice.
Started
Right.
that on Wednesday.
Alistair.
Oh,
Yeah, look at that.
Good one.
That was good.
It's nice.
That's a hard shot.
Yeah, good, mate.
Thanks very much.
You're a hard shot.
Running shots are the hardest as well.
So, Alistair, if you're using Procreate, there's a button on there, and then he's going to start doing a little jig.
Yeah, that's part of the plan.
Zach, are you?
Glenn, I got a quick question. I got 2 questions.
Yep.
Oh, my reception is just went. Sorry, but I think my Pfizer isn't working because the reception's crap.
I can hear you.
Cool. Yeah, no, I had a question about. Sorry. Oh, there you go. That's a problem. I've got the wrong injection. So
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. I was going to go. You were saying, complaining a little bit about your commercial work, but I was a bit of a fan because I remember the first time I was aware of you was at an AusCon. I think I saw you at a panel talking about either the Phantom or something, or just about the US comics.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Wow. Everybody has just gone all circles on me.
I can hear you.
Anyways, so
We can hear you.
but I also applied at the drawing book, and I remember sawing you and Dave's work in the little booklet there.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I know these guys from ComX. Is there any like cool stories how that came about, or was it pretty?
Well, because
is it like with that involvement, the commercial stuff, how that started? Is there any cool stories with that?
well, it all came about because of the publicity.
Oh wow! Look, sorry guys, I don't know what happened here.
It's all right. We can still answer the
My
question.
internet's gone to crap.
He can watch the replay, Glenn. Don't worry.
Yes, don't worry, Glenn. Go. I'm going to mute him for a bit while he works it out.
Well, because we were doing the Marvel Phantom, we got quite a lot of media coverage, and that led to commercial work where people would just ring up going, "Oh, can you do a superhero for my can of soup?" Or and it was all basically superhero oriented, characters for products.
But Glenn, were you having to create those characters as well, or did they present you with the characters?
Oh, no, it would be like commercial work is just like they've got the brief, they got everything, and then you do what they say, and they go, "Can you make it 10% more groovy?" Or
What does that mean, Glenn? What does 10% more groovy mean?
and then you don't know what the hell that means, but you just do it. And wait a year for them to pay you. It's fantastic. It's great. But what we did is we thought, hey, we should get some agents to handle all this stuff. And so Dave and I went to Sydney, and I think we just went to all these agencies and signed up with all of them. We're not realizing that you meant to just sign up with one. So we'd start to get agents ringing us with the same job, and they were going, "Are you in the drawing book?" I'm going, "Yeah, is that okay?" It's like, why can't we? Look, you just don't do that. You've got to choose one. So I don't know. That was okay. I mean, I didn't enjoy the whole experience, to be honest. I just found that it was really hard getting paid, and they used to set ridiculous deadlines. And it was almost like gleefully they would sort of go, "It's just coming up to Easter, the Easter break. We need these sort of layouts for a car commercial." I said, "When do you need them by?" So like after the Easter break. I said, "Right, so you want me to work all through Easter?" Yeah. And then if you did that, then you say, "Well, what's the feedback?" And they say, "Oh, we can't tell you, the guy's gone off the holidays of Switzerland from you never have any power over it." And the thing is, the agent who's meant to be representing you, they don't represent you, they represent the client. Because if it's like the Allen's Lolly Company putting $100,000 worth of work through their books, and one of those jobs happens to be one that I'm doing, and I want to get paid by Allen's, well, my agent is not going to get angry at Allen's, because that's where he gets his money from. So he says, "Oh, yeah, I've spoken to them. They promise within 4 weeks." You go, "Well, I'm dying here, man. I've done this, sort of I've worked all through Easter, and but it never seemed to change." And I remember there was one gig I did where I think they owed me about $12,000 or $1 million, $12,000 for this giant award we did. And I remember we did it in a record time, and I think we waited 6 months for that money, and we only got paid when the agent personally paid out of his own savings account, because I just said, I'm not doing any more stuff for you ever again.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm sure we can do something. And so he paid out of his account, I think, and then chased up the money from Alan's. That was his business. But it's just bullshit. It's just, and they rope you in because they, usually pay big dollars.
Hey, Tony.
It'll be because like with a comic book is such hard work to do a page, and even if you're getting top dollar, just like with Batman, we were getting $1,000 a page for the art, which was the top rate for DC at that stage. But I still couldn't do them fast enough. And I had 3 or 4 guys like Dave Heinrich and Dave Williams and Rod Tokley all helping me with backgrounds, and we got to the stage where one guy would be in charge of just doing guns, and another guy would just be in charge of doing buildings, and we just had this sort of factory thing going, and I still couldn't churn out the pages fast enough. And then you get an advertising job, and it's one drawing, and they're going to pay you $8,000 or something, and you just go, shit, this is not for one drawing, which I can do myself, and but then that sounds good, but then try and get paid. It's like 6 months later, and you're still going some money. Anyway, that's shit. And it served its purpose, and I learned a lot. But I really don't want to go back to those bad old days. Like at the moment, I am doing a bit of commercial work to supplement my comic habit, but it's not too much. And so far, the gigs have all been with people that I've worked with in the past, who I like working with, like various winemakers in the Barossa and stuff like that, who are good friends, and they're beautiful. And
good kickbacks from them.
What's that?
You get some good kickbacks with the wine. Get some
couple of bottles.
I haven't drunk for about 7 or 8 years because I drank way too much wine. I drank enough wine for. I think Alistair, you can back me up on this.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Last visit, which was in the 90s sometime, I think, or early 2000s.
Yes, we ended up having a Connery off, if I remember.
Oh, that's
We were just dueling Sean Connery accents.
because
Can you guys do some now?
you already have a
They said,
established-
well, every Scotsman can do Sean Connery. It's a piece of flesh.
Even in
What about you,
Australia,
Lee? Can you do Sean Connery?
and Billy Connolly too.
Oh, I know. Hey, it's brilliant. He's the nicest guy.
That's a good one.
Thanks very much.
That's very good.
Yeah. We were down in the Barossa years ago, and we got to stop by Lamo's place and partake of some of the free gifts from the wineries. It was lovely.
Well, and then I think we ended up going to the pub to buy a bottle of, I don't know, it was just messy. But anyway, that was my regular health regime for quite a few years.
It was just messy.
And I just smoked like a chimney. I don't know how Dave put up with me. Oh,
Yeah.
God, I must have been a walking ashtray.
Who's
Got
that?
a work in progress here from Pete Fairfax.
Ah, nice.
Oh, very good.
Very nice.
Cool.
And got sent through this one from Danny Nolan and his mate Joe.
Ah, well done. Looking real good.
Wow, looking good.
Oh my gosh. I didn't look at it before I put it up. All right.
This ring thing works because it would be like sometimes he punches people and he doesn't want to, tattoo them for life. And then what if you punch them with the good ring? Well, it's like, oops, can I take it back? One of those comic things it's best not to. That's
Nick May sent one through.
lovely.
Nick May from Vamoose.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah.
Nice one,
Actually,
Nick.
I've got a question for Lumbo. Like when I first came to Australia, which is a long time ago, I assumed that the Phantom was an Australian title.
Yeah. People do.
Does anybody know? Can anybody account for its popularity here?
Well, it's just been around for so long because I think it started getting published in the Woman's Day or something back in 1940 odd, and it's just always been in print, and so just people assume must be Australian. Because also in its home country, America, it's not seen. It's seen as a bit of a B grade character. So I guess that's another reason why Dave and I got offered the Phantom by Marvel. It's like, who can we pass this off onto?
Didn't I see a recent redesign of the character where he's basically wearing a Speedo and he's just covered in gore?
Really? Is that like an Alex Ross painting or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I know why they do it, because they're trying to appeal to that, the modern comic book reader. But that just pains me. It's like, but then we were guilty in the 90s of. I'm guilty. I mean, we did that in the 90s, so I can hardly say. In fact, I think we actually did have the Phantom pouring blood all over himself. I don't know. I can't remember. But it was the same thing. It was just like the Punisher, except with stripes.
Yeah.
But then that was the 90s. That was like, it's funny. I saw the Matrix. Oh wow! Woohoo! I saw
Tony Menzies.
Yeah.
I saw the Matrix the other day. And the Matrix sums up the Matrix in terms of the whole zeitgeist and the aesthetic. It's just people in black leather coats with 50,000 guns strapped to them, just blasting. That's but also they've got a little socket in their neck to download shit. That's the nutshell. And everyone was doing it, and so we didn't do.
Is that someone's kid or a cat?
Who said that?
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Ben, you said that without moving your lips.
That wasn't me.
Oh, is that your cat?
Yeah, he's old and angry. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Glenn, can I ask you a big question here? This is a big one. So I was trying to set it up before, from Dark Nebula to Southern Squadron to the Phantom. Can you tell us the story of another iconic character, Doug Dunstall?
Oh, yeah. There was a strip that we did for People or Picture or Magazine or whatever, and it was called Dr. Cheeseman, and it was just filthy. And I created this character who was initially a patient of Dr. Cheeseman, who just appeared like once or twice, and then I thought we should spin him off with his own. And he was just like this sort of hopeless kind of gold-bludgy type guy with buck teeth, and he's just always trying to get out of work. He's always trying to get a medical certificate or something, and I just called him Doug Dunstall. And Jason Dunstall, for some fucking reason, thought it was based on him. It was like
the footy player.
Yeah, the footy player,
medalist,
whatever. Thinks, and his case was based on that Dunstall was a rare name. And the funny thing is that when I was talking to the picture editor, I said, "Oh, Dunstall's not a rare name." He said, "Yeah, that's what I said too." It is actually. I looked in the phone book; it was about like 20 in all of Australia.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on. And the thing is, I grew up in Sydney. I followed league and union, and so when I moved to South Australia, I had to be initiated into AFL. So I didn't know anything about Jason Dunstall or who were famous AFL players. All I knew was that the Adelaide team was the Crows, and Dave Heinrich, Bear, who was a mate, he took me to my first AFL game, which was the Crows playing North Melbourne, and I loved it because we won by about 200 points. And I thought, this is great. But it was hard explaining to the picture editor. I was like, okay, I've kind of heard of this Jason Dunstall guy, but it's beyond his name. It's not like I know enough about him to think, well, I'm going to lampoon that guy. Just onomatopoeic. You just go, Don Dunstan? No. Doug Dunstan? Doug Dunstall? Dick Dunstall? Doug Dunstall. But yeah, so freaking getting sued. I wasn't getting sued. It was Picture Magazine. But man, that was that went on and on and on, like for over a year. And it's funny because like Dave, I'm sure Dave won't disagree with me here. Dave really loves law dramas on TV, and he loves the whole machinations of court drama and the debating aspect. For me, I just freak out. To me, that's the most awful environment to be in. And so Dave, I think, was sort of going, this is very, very interesting, this whole Doug does. And I'm going like, and I remember I was meant to be going over there to get grilled, and at the last minute they settled out of court, and they rang me and said, you don't have to come over. And I was just like, oh, God. But honestly, that aged me like 10 years, 2 years. It was, I wasn't even getting sued. But it was just all my nightmares sort of going, and just all over a fucking. I mean, I think they ended up paying him like 10 grand or 20 grand. It's bullshit. It's like frigging famous football player. He's on TV now. He's a commentator. He's getting paid squillions. And I've just gone through hell so he could get an extra 10 grand pocket money.
Yeah, it's nothing. Nothing to him now.
That's the bloody way it works. Yeah. Oh, wow. These are very.
That's one Tony prepared earlier.
Yeah, I don't think he did that in 50 minutes.
He did that in half an hour, mate. That's exactly.
Well, that's like people sort of like on Facebook. You'll see some amazing drawing. People go, just a warm-up sketch I did over coffee.
I hate when people do that.
Yeah, I want to call them out all the time, but nothing gained.
It's like, okay, that's your warm sketch. That's sketch number 5 out of 10. You chose the best one.
Yeah. And what about you worked on the Round the Twist graphic novel? Did you have any controversial struggles putting that thing together?
No, but
is there like a problem with someone's jumper or something? If I remember the story correctly.
I can't remember.
That you'd done like the whole book, and then someone came back to you and was so you had the roughs okayed, and then the pencils okayed, and then the inks okayed, and then I think you might have even been heading into colouring, and some guy sitting there saying, "Oh, I'd like to change the jumper on the main character or whatever."
Right, and that was because, and to be fair to Penguin, the Round the Twist story. And this is just my personal take on it, and I'm sure Dave might have a completely different take. But like back then, Dave wrote and coloured, and I penciled and inked and lettered, and that was kind of like, because you've got to separate the roles, otherwise what's the point of having a team if you're both doubling up? And but I used to love writing myself, and I remember with the Round the Twist gig, Penguin rang me. Could have been, they could have rung Dave. They just happened to ring me, and so I really wanted to be in charge of the gig, and I think the interpretation I did
might be too Glenn.
Twist was really bad. Was really, I didn't serve the story well. I wasn't engaged with what Paul Jennings was about. I didn't capture the vibe. I think I just generally did a very poor job. And now the father in Round the Twist was meant to be a wacky, out there inventor sort of guy, and I did him as a very boring straight dude because I didn't give a shit about feeling and trying to evoke the Paul Jennings. And so Penguin were obviously worried about this father character looking so boring. And so the best they could do was, I remember once I just said, can we give him funny hair? Or can he wear a funny hat? Or can he put a funny pattern on his jumper? And all I heard was they wanted to change the art at this late stage. But now I realised what they were doing was, this is just wrong. And how can we make the father more wacky? And I take full credit there for fucking up. It should have been, I think, handled it in a more a pathetic way.
Yeah.
I was being driven by my own ego and wanting to build a career rather than wanting to be simpatico with, someone else's creation. I don't know. I'm sure Paul was really underwhelmed by the whole thing, because he was like their $1 million boy back then. Everything he did turned to gold until our adaptation of the Around the Twist comic, which should have been, in hindsight, should have been a wacky, crazy, just crazy, Paul Jennings thing. Instead of this it's like something you would read in a 50s Beano comic or whatever, just very exciting, lots of people standing still, talking with huge word balloons, just none of the vibe.
Everything you don't want.
What's that?
Everything you don't want to see in a comic. Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. I just didn't have a clue. Anyway, that's my take on it. Dave might have memories and stuff, but I do make the point that the failings around the twist were totally driven by me, and I fucked up.
And so, what's on your drawing table now? What are you working on? What's the future hold?
Well, I just finished the latest giant size cover, literally about an hour or two before this.
Show us, mate.
What's that?
Show us. Give us a
It's
look.
I'll draw on a Cintiq. Can I spin this possibly around? All right, let's see if I make the Cintiq face the monitor, do I open up a portal in time and space? I'm not going to. Well, I will.
With any hope.
Okay, let me just open it. All right. Okay, I don't know. Let's see how this works. If I rip the cables out doing this, I'm going to be very sad. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And that's the last we saw of Glenn.
Black out the whole of Tasmania.
Hang on, no, this will work. Just bear with me.
Hey, Alistair, while Glenn fiddles, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, being that this is your first time on the show?
What do you want? What do you want to know? How far back do you want me to go?
Well, what was the first thing you remember when coming out of the womb? No.
Well, I looked around and I thought there's got to be more than this.
Oh, look at that! Here we go.
You can't see it. It's right.
Can you bring it up?
That's cool.
Oh, hang on.
No. Shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wow.
there's more. All right. So pick.
Oh yeah!
Amazing.
Oh wow!
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now don't drop it.
Oh no! Oh, it's okay.
ComX doesn't have the money to repay your Cintiq bill.
No, Spedzy, Sizzle will cover that. Just send the bill to Sizzle.
Yeah. Sorry, Alistair. Tell us a little bit about your foray into comics and what you do and all that sort of stuff.
Well, the original intention was to be a comic artist, certainly, but I ended up falling into games. Actually,
Right.
I think it was at AusCon 92 or 3. I was there showing my work to. That was back when you had rockstar artists. Back in the day when the name of an artist would sell a book.
Yeah.
And comic conventions actually had, the big comic stars would show up to it. So there was Mark Silvestris and Cam Kennedys and all those kinds of fellas. And I was showing my work to them, and that's good. Looks like you've got things to do. But I was more or less set on being a comic artist, and then a guy gave me a card and he said, "We're doing a trading card game." And so I ended up working with a company called SSG doing trading cards for a game called Warlords. It was a series of video games, and they were doing a trading card game. Did about 150 full color pieces for that over the course of about 2.5 years, and then the art director quit, and they said to me, "Well, you're the art director now, if you'd like." And I said, "Okay, well, how do you do that exactly?" And they went, "You'll figure it out. Here's a large computer and an exorbitant salary." And so that was it. I never became a comic artist as such, unless I was just doing it on the side for free.
Those early conventions, those AusCons, they were really sensational. They were great.
Yeah, they were amazing.
There where they just seemed to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you sort of start to get not just Marvel and DC, but Dark Horse and these other companies, and they put on little evenings where like cheese and wine sort of things and stuff. Everyone would try to crash in, or you'd do you remember, were you there when we took that Marvel guy to King's Cross and
keep going.
Skip Feats, I think his name was, and we took to this place called the Love Machine.
Yeah. All that kind of stuff went on. I was very young and I didn't know what I was doing, and I couldn't hold my drink. I remember at 93 was huge, and in the very next year, 94, it was all gone. It was
well, that's
10% the size.
Huge implosion of comics sort of in the mid 90s, because they just when they got that crazy investment stage where everyone was buying like 1,000 copies of Spawn #1 as their situation, and then it all just like imploded.
Yeah, there was going to be trading cards. I was working with a company called Intrepid, and I was doing X-Files trading cards with them. And oh, hello.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's all linked, Dave.
Yeah, ink.
Yeah. Nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
Dave died.
Smashed it.
Feet.
Well done, Dave.
Great.
So there was I was doing these X-Files trading cards, and that was when everything kind of imploded, and it happened so quickly that one Wednesday I went into the office, the Intrepid office at North Sydney, because I was told that the X-Files thing was off, because they'd signed a deal for all this merch without actually consulting Chris Carter. Bit of an oversight. So I went up to get my originals back, and everything was gone. There was some furniture, and there was a bloke pulling wires out of the ceiling. And I said, "Where's everybody gone?" And he said, "Don't know what you're talking about." So I never got my originals back. So that's how quickly it went. Before then, they were going to be having vending machines at the front of the mall, like Redbox, for trading cards. Sensible people thought that was going to be a thing. And then it all just went away.
I just find this again, it's just, this greed thing just makes people go nuts. And because like we were doing stuff for Intrepid as well, and you'd be on some friggin' yacht doing a Sydney Harbour cruise, and Mel Meninga would be there, and you sort of like, we'll include you in the trading in the second series, or maybe the third series, or and they never happen, and it all just, as you say, it just goes poof overnight. But all the people, they're all already living in friggin' Hollywood in their heads, and they go nuts, and the creators go nuts as well. And that's what's nice having a second go at a comic career, is I just feel I know the pitfalls to avoid, because hopefully I've sort of gained some sort of insight into myself and some sort of wisdom, and I guess a better understanding of what are the important things in life, and what makes you happy in doing that, and what makes you unhappy, avoiding that. I think that's really important, and it's just so much better all around. It's like, I feel like I did when I was a teenager, drawing comics because I loved them, and I would draw as soon as I finished my homework or whatever. It would be like 6 hours. Mum would be going, "Aren't you a Benjamin?" On page 500 or whatever. That was great, and it was so. I don't know. It was exciting to be alive. It was great, and I can't believe I turned my 90s foray into comics, and it was fucking misery, kind of like stressful. I'm not enjoying this. Deadlines are killing me. I'm just angry. But having said all that, we did have some great fun as well. It's like, but way too much alcohol.
I wasn't very good at networking. There was a night where
neither was I, but Dave DeVries is just a master at it, and so you just you go to America. I just basically follow Dave into whatever office and just let him run with it.
I was in the pump house at Sydney, and people had been passing me these massive foamy pints all night, and I'm drinking them and getting more and more full. And then there was a guy sitting across the table from me with a jacket on and a T-shirt with Marilyn Monroe on it with very glittery lips. And I went, "Who are you?" And he said, "Dave Sim." And I just kind of went, I just deflated. Like a failing erection, and just went like, "Oh, hello, Mr. Sim. I'm your biggest fan. Can I please hang out with you for the rest of the night?" And he just went, "No, thank you." That was the night I met. And as I left, at that point, I just left. I thought, this is the lowest point in my life. And as I left, it started raining.
That wasn't rain. That was your tears, mate.
Like that overheated comic scene of the 90s and stuff is that hierarchical thing of, you have to be impressed by meeting people. You've got to go, "Oh my God, Jerry Ordway." I should have said Jerry, because Jerry Ordway is a lovely guy. Having to sort of, I don't know, there's this sense of bowing and scraping and being fake, which I fucking hate. I just hate, and it is hard. It's a bit like if you met, your favourite Hollywood actor, and it's very hard to have an even relationship with that person because you've watched them on the screen, you feel you know them, they don't know you from Adam. And it's almost like, how do I do this? Do I become a fawning fan, or do I just pretend to be very offhand and like I don't really? Who are you? Tom who? Tom Cruise? That sort of bullshit.
I heard that name somewhere. Where was it?
I just don't like that sort of. To me, you can't have a real relationship with that sort of those hurdles in the way. So in some ways, it's nicer and just like if you really, really love an artist or a writer, I don't really want to know them. I think
the best way to do it is just ask them a lot of questions because they really just want to talk about themselves. They don't want to have a conversation with you. They don't want to know who you are. Ask them to talk about themselves, and they will go on and on and on.
I don't have that sort of relationship. I just want
nice.
He's an artist I know and like. Pete Fairfax finished up.
Nice one, Pete.
Fantastic.
Very cool.
And last week we had Bronwyn guest on the show to just tell us which two were the hottest guys of the show. So she still thinks it's me and Pete. This week deciding to decide the two hottest guys on the show, we've got the Phantom here. We'll see what he thinks. Oh, nice. Me and Lee. All right. Thank you, Phantom.
Thank you, Phantom.
I've got to make sure he's pointing to different directions.
The only time I've ever doubted the Phantom in my life, mate.
Chris, have you got something to show us? We're past the hour mark. And gee, hang on. Yeah, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice one, Chris.
Very nice.
Very good, mate.
Look at the skull hiding away there.
On fire, Chris.
Nice.
Is that in paint? Have you used paint or?
A mix of acrylic paint and ink on a bit of packing card.
It's a first generation Cintiq, that one.
Yeah.
Just a bit of packing card from a cardboard box that was sitting in the lounge. I thought, I'll have that.
Get rid of that colour.
Right.
Amazing.
Hey, Spedsy, do you want a photo of mine or just me hold it up?
However you want to, mate. I don't mind.
I just hold it up. How's that?
Yeah. Good one,
good.
mate.
Yeah, it's a nice dark one. That's good.
Really good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Wicked. Oh, look at that axe at the front there, hey?
I know I've got a bit of a thing for axes at the moment.
Good one, Lee. Well done, mate. What have you done that on? Oh, it's on a pad, is it?
It's the second generation Cintiq.
Is that a pad of paper you got there? It looks thicker. I thought it was a bit of canvas, a canvas board or something.
Yeah, no, it's just
Oh, yeah. Yep. Gotcha, mate.
Always A3, mate, 220 gram. Just old habit, so stick with it.
Yeah. Do what
Makes
comes
me feel
natural.
comfortable.
Do what comes natural, mate.
So just starting to wrap up. Make sure I've
What
got
are we
everything.
waiting for? Hey, Glenn, where's your drawing, mate? Have you done one? No, you've got to do one. If you don't do one, you've got to shout a beer for
Gotta-
everyone that you doesn't.
You got
Everyone
about
else.
5 minutes, Glenn.
Yeah, virtual beer. I'm sure
You're
Alex
fast,
can
aren't you,
whip up
Glenn?
some little thing there, man, which has us all glugging beer. You know, like so that's on you, Glenn.
I don't know what
I'll
I'm.
send you the bill.
I don't know what. Don't know why I'm saying that because he showed us that cover and he just did that while he was talking to you the whole night. Didn't you, Glenn? That cover you did. You did that while you were talking to us.
What about you, Zach? You want to show us? Show us
I
what you
haven't done
got?
anything since. I've been listening.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Alistair, you want to show us something?
All right.
He's showing something. Zach's showing something.
Just wrapping it up.
What's that?
Keep your pants on, mate.
Oh, that's
Nice. Very nice.
Fantastic.
Oh, see layers.
There you go.
Nice.
Very nice. Very quick too.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah. I've been going over the same stuff. It's
Mm.
getting darker.
Yeah, awesome.
welcome, mate.
That way.
Very nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
Pretty
More
solid. Very good.
listening than doing.
fantastic work, Ben.
And if you get a chance,
Cheers,
Ben,
mate.
maybe get those dishes done after this.
Oh, you can't see. Well, I was listening last.
Yeah.
Wrong one from last. Well, I was listening just for anyone.
Oh, Good on you.
Very nice.
Jeez. Beautiful.
Right, let me just- Let me just cut to Zach. He's probably going to start crying. Ben Sullivan just drew.
Yes. Love the idea. Love it very much.
Squish, old Zach reckons.
Yeah.
Zach, are you busting out like a fucking Mr. T sleeveless shirt?
Maybe.
Did anyone see that? Like just laying there, like yeah.
Yeah. Looking all tough.
No, I'm working on the drink and draw book.
Oh.
So it requires no sleeves. 'Cause-
Hey,
Yeah.
Glenn, have you got another story? Are you doing another story for the Phantom? I know
Yeah,
you've
doing a Phantom Ranger meets the Phantom Ranger, the cowboy character. So, but this time I'm the 13 pager because the last thing I took years that was about 28 pages. It was so slow. So this one is taking a fair bit of time. I was hoping to have it ready for this next giant size, but I couldn't do it, largely because I just wasn't making any money. So I've had to take on some other commercial work, and so the Phantom stuff has to take has to take back seat for a little bit. So hopefully the next giant size, I'll get into that. But the thing is that rather than looking at it as a certain number of pages, I should look at it as a number of panels, because it takes me a day to do a panel. So whether it's 13 pages or 28 pages, I added it up. In the 28-page story, I think it worked out to be 160 panels or something. And then, because I thought this is 13 pages, I crammed more story in, and I've still got over 100 panels in 13 pages.
yeah.
So I've put myself there. After this, I'm going to do a 6-pager.
Yeah,
But it's actually
right.
hard to
Right.
write a 6-page story. It's satisfying. So I'll see how I go.
What was that, mate? Is it what story did you say?
I just said the next one I'll do will be a 6-pager,
Yep.
After this 13-pager. But
One for you, Alistair.
quite hard to do a good story.
Yeah. Well, I like doing short stories myself.
Well,
I love doing short stories, Dave. They're fantastic.
You don't do any, do you? 100 pages. That's your short story, isn't it?
I've got a lot of moods in those pages, man.
Glenn, before we go, with Southern Squadron and the Dark Nebula coming back, are we going to see you maybe pick up the pencils for one of those down the road at some point? Maybe a cover or some
Well, I had got in touch with me and asked if I'd do a cover for a variant thing or something. And, yep, well, I'm happy to do that. So
Awesome.
I said, yeah. So I'll just wait to hear back and see what the...
Glad that was the answer. Otherwise, really awkward that I brought that up. Well, thank you very much to everybody. Thank you for your drawings. Thank you to everyone from home for sending in drawings from home. If you want to support the show, head over to comx.net.au and you can look up anyone here and you'll find links to their books, their wares. If you want to drop some dimes on some cool art and stories, that would be awesome. On next week's show, our special guest is Matt Kime, and we will be drawing the Demon.
Oh, lovely.
I'm sure the Phantom will come up in conversation as well. Huge thank you to Glenn Lumsden for joining us, an Australian legend. Thank you very much.
Good on you, mate.
Glenn, if ever you want to come back and draw, you're welcome as an artist, and I mean you're welcome as a guest too. But if you ever want to come back and draw with us, that would be wicked.
Cool. Okay. Excellent.
Hey, before you sign out, I want to say one thing to yourself, Spedsy. Thanks very much for buying those comics off the owner Indy, and I sent them out yesterday.
Oh, awesome! You know why I bought them, Dave?
Why, mate?
Because I want to read them. Because your art's awesome, your stories are awesome. Lockdown was extended, and as I was telling you, my wife bought some bottles of wine, so I bought a few comics.
Good on you, mate. Thank you very much. And
if you want to buy Dave's comics, head over to owninindie.com and type in Dave Dye, and you'll see a whole list there of good stuff.
And I'm not the only one there. There's a lot of other great Australian indie comic creators there.
Yeah.
Get in there and have a look at them. There's heaps of them. And
there's heaps of Glenn stuff there too. Lots of.
There are, Dave, but you're one of the best.
I just want to say thanks to Robbie Donaldson for buying the Anzac Legend as well. I appreciate that. So good on you, Robbie. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
And one last kudos to me. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, mate. You're doing a good job.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Everyone here in the room, stick around if you like, and we'll debrief and whatever. Thank you so much to everybody who's been watching, and we'll see you next week.
Cheerio.
Cheerio. Thanks, everyone.